council meeting of January 9th, 2012 at 7:30 p.m. Mr. Spagan will please call the roll.
Allen.
Here.
Dixon.
Here.
Gibbons.
Here.
Hannon.
Present.
Harrison.
Present.
McLean.
Here.
Mowry. O'Brien.
Present.
Pate. Here. 8 present.
We have 8 members present. At this time, if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one item under chair announcement. An executive session of council was conducted on Monday, December 19th, 2011, to discuss personnel and contractual issues. At this time, if we can turn to the reports of the officials and the librarian's report.
Good evening. My name is Christine. I'm the director of the public library here. Just wanted to remind people that the library offers free computer classes every week on topics such as using Windows 7, using your new laptop, using your Kindle, how to do email, or occasionally on your digital camera. Library is also offering on Wednesday mornings at 10 o'clock during the winter a program called 1-2-3 Play With Me. It's free play with educational toys for young children and their parents. We have a seminar on the SAT, ACT on Thursday, January 19th at 7 o'clock. During this program, high school students and their parents will have the opportunity to learn about both exams, find out what scores colleges look for, and test their skills with sample questions. This seminar will be presented by a trained exam prep professional. We also have a puppet show coming. It's Aesop's Fables, presented by Sadecki Puppets. On Saturday, January 21st at 2 o'clock, there'll be 12 fables performed by the puppeteers. The program lasts about 45 minutes. There is a charge for this program because the puppeteers don't come cheap, but it's $10 per family to attend, and it's recommended for children in kindergarten through 5th grade. There is a teen makeover program on Thursday, January 26th at 6:30. Teen girls will learn about appropriate skincare and makeup application techniques. And just a reminder that during the month of January, the library's winter reading program is going on. It's Chill Out at the Library this year. It's for school-aged children. For more information on any of these programs or services, you can visit the library's website at bethelparklibrary.org.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Hearing none, if we can turn to the police chief report.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Good evening, everyone. Officer Rigatti was testing my mettle this evening. He gave me 3 pages of notes. I won't bore you with all of them. I'll try to get through them. I'm starting to lose my voice anyhow. But I did want to give everyone the results of this year's food drive. We collected and distributed 214 boxes of food, plus 2 additional bulk donations that went to South Hills Interfaith Ministries and St. Val's Food Pantry. The Adopt a Family program helped 18 of our families in need here in Bethel Park, and we actually had 23 sponsors this year for those 18 families. And I have the whole list of names and businesses here, but I'm not going to go through them. They know who they are. We sincerely appreciate their generous donations. Some of the gifts that were donated, besides the food, included gift cards, presents, and we even fulfilled a request. When one of the families requested a priest for a bedridden family member, we were able to make those arrangements. I'd like to thank council persons Jack Allen and Lori Gibbons for helping us sort and pack the food. All the people that helped donate their time. We had Club Spirit from Independence Middle School, the Bethel Park Fire Department for use of their facilities, and the Public Works Department for helping us distribute the food. The Citizens Police Academy commences on January 19th, and we have our largest class ever. We have 46 people signed up for the class, and we are not currently taking on any new folks. However, If anyone is interested and would like to sign up for next year, we're already accepting applications. So the Citizens Academy and also the LEAP program begin on January 19th. For the past couple years, we have participated in a program. You've probably heard of the Officer Phil program, and it's run through Crime in America. And we partnered with Crime in America a couple of years ago to put out this booklet in the community. And basically what it is, it's a community resource guide. It lists all the important numbers that you would need for Bethel Park and for Allegheny County. And there's places to, there's a lot of helpful hints in here, whether they're crime prevention, talking about burglary and how to keep your home safe. And there's a room to take some notes also. The book doesn't cost us anything. It's due to the very generous donations of our local businesses, and those folks actually have an ad in the booklet. That's what makes it possible. So once again, rather than try to list all of them, I'd just like to thank our business partners for making the book possible. We do have some at the police department in the records room. You can find them, I believe, at the library. Some of the businesses like Pasta 2 and Evie Hardware. So if you get a chance and you would like, please pick up one of our booklets. And finally, I think it was a month or so ago, I had talked about one of the crimes that we were experiencing in Bethel Park, and that was people getting phone calls soliciting for money. And they typically will say it's the Bethel Park Police Department or someone soliciting for funds. And we try to inform the public that you need to be very careful when you get these types of phone calls, number one. We actually had a resident the other day who got a call for bank information. And she initially gave the name of her bank, but fortunately realized that she was headed down the wrong path and decided not to give up account or other personal information. So that's very important. Another popular scam that we see occasionally is it targets the elderly. And typically what they'll do is somebody will call and say that a relative, usually a grandson or a nephew or somebody along those lines, has been arrested or they're in the hospital and they need money, and they convince people to wire funds to an account. Folks, that stuff just doesn't happen. So we urge you to please be very careful anytime somebody calls trying to get money from you, no matter how they're doing it over the phone. Now, one thing you can do to help the police prosecute potentially is to conduct what we call a customer-initiated trace of your phone calls. And it does cost a little bit of money. I believe it's $1, maybe $2 if you decide to do it. But for example, if you would get a call and somebody tries to scam you, once that person hangs up and before you make a phone call, star 57, star 57 on your phone. What that does is it records the last number that you received on your home phone with the phone company. Now later on, if the police department is going to try to prosecute somebody, we can contact the phone company, get a search warrant, and get those records. It's not always successful, but that's the best way to conduct a trace of your phone. And like I said, there's just a very small fee, and it is worth it. One of the big problems, however, is with these scams on the relative that's injured or in the hospital. A lot of these calls are generated overseas, and when that happens, there's simply not much we can do with it. If it would involve a lot of money, we could get the FBI or the Secret Service involved, but if it's a couple $1,000s, obviously we don't have the resources to go overseas and try to recoup your money. So please be very aware that there are people out there trying to scam you. Never give personal information or banking information over the phone. And that is my report, Mr. President.
Can I ask you a question?
Mr. Harrison.
If the domestic calls, if they're generated by a phone booth or by these cheap cell phones that people can buy and throw away. I guess that's recorded, but it's essentially not traceable. Is that true?
There's, we actually had a few calls recently and dealing with the disposable phones, and the police department has some resources when it comes to those types of investigations, but I really wouldn't want to talk too much about it because okay. I don't want to tip our hand when it comes to how we conduct certain investigations. But I would encourage everyone, please call the police department and report it to us, because sometimes even if we can't do something about it, the information is invaluable to us, so we know what's going on in the community.
You're recommending to call the police department as after they star 57?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. If we can turn now to the Fire Chief's report.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Brown. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief at the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company. With me tonight, I have one of our lieutenants, Tom Kelton. I'm actually going to show Tom, or I'm going to give the report this evening, and then hopefully for the next year, Tom will be up here every month giving our Fire Chief's report for you. He graciously volunteered to handle that for us this year. One of the reasons for that, we had a little bit of a change in our command structure, if you will. Dan Moore, who had been our fire chief for, I'm not even sure how many years, decided to, I'm not sure if you're in a volunteer capacity, if you actually retire, but he actually decided to retire from the chief aspect of the fire company. He's still an active firefighter for us, driver, and still helps us in many ways. You folks may be familiar with Dave Gerber, who's been giving the reports for the last probably year and a half, 2 years. Dave was elected our new fire chief. I still remain the deputy fire chief, and then we had some other changes down the ladder, if you will. But again, Tom, I'm sure it'll be in trusted hands with Tom for the next 11 months after tonight, and they're throwing stuff already at you, Tom.
Yes, sir. Man, it's wobbly.
Couple items just of interest, I think, for the year 2011, last year. Our total amount of fire calls, or incidents, if you will, 370. The bulk of those are false alarm or good intent false alarm calls. Unfortunately, that comprises most of our calls, which, we're going to continue to respond to them. We never know when those so-called false alarms might be the actual thing that we need to respond to. A couple other items of interest. In 2011, we had 10,858 man-hours that our volunteers put in for the community. In addition to that, we had 1,610 hours of training. Anybody that knows the new volunteers coming in, I believe it's 166 hours of training just in order to become a firefighter here in Bethel Park. So there's a lot of training involved in becoming a volunteer firefighter, and we continue that training throughout the year so we all keep apprised of the new and changing environment in firefighting. I wasn't going to do this, but maybe council will be interested, and we actually broke down our fire calls by ward, so I don't know if you guys can give each other awards for who gets more or less, but actually we consider our zero ward as any calls we go out to outside of the municipality of Bethel Park. We actually had 37 incidents outside Bethel Park. That's usually mutual aid to surrounding municipalities in Bethel Park. Ward 1, 42 incidents. Ward 2, 18 incidents. Ward 3, 25. Ward 4, 58. Ward 5, 38. Ward 6, 17. Ward 7, 30. Ward 8, 77. And Ward 9 was 28. So I guess the winner's Ward 8 with 77. That's just again, a little item of interest. We do keep, it's the way our reporting system is broke down, we do keep it into wards for our tracking purposes. And finally, the report for the month of December. We had a total incidence of 34 for the month of December. I'm not going to bore you with all of them again. 58% of it was the false alarm and false calls, for a total of 20 out of the 34. The only other reminder, bingo's still going on every Saturday, and you'll start seeing our fundraising letters will probably go out, I believe, sometime early March. And again, we ask the public to please be generous. And as we say every month, we don't get any. We do get assistance from the municipality in a lot of ways, but not financially. We'll put it that way. And unless there's any questions from council or anyone, I am finished.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
This time, if we can turn to the mayor's report. Mayor Morton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We only have a couple of items tonight, Mr. Chairman. We were going to do our birthdays, and then we have our Christmas lighting contest winners that we will deal with in the next few minutes. We have about a dozen people who were 90 years or older that we want to wish happy birthday to them for the month of January. First of all, I want to wish all of you and all you folks at home a very happy New Year. These folks all were born in various years, starting back as far away as 1909. So, Pete Edwards of Brookside Lumber is 91 this month. Happy birthday to Pete. Francis McCune is 94, born on January 7th, 1918. And Pearl Blackburn is 95 this month. Perry Black is 93. We wish him a happy birthday. Agnes Vihar is 97. Anna Mae Huber is 97. Mike Conboy is 94. And our latest member is Jim Drew, who turned 90 just last week. There are three more. Gertrude Koffler is 98, born 1914. Aline Dole, 99 this month. And Julia Golit, G-O-L-I-T, is 103. So we wish all these folks a very happy birthday. And for those of you who aren't familiar, we recognize the birthdays every month of those folks that were born in that month, and then we get together with as many as can make it and have a luncheon over at the community center every October. So we do try to do something for our seniors. Okay, getting over to our holiday lighting contest, we're going to begin with Ward 1, and I'd like to have Doug and Cheryl Hudson show up, or come up rather, if they're here. Here they are. Now, the Hudsons are very serious about their Christmas lighting, and if you've never been down there on 1168 Sarah Street during the Christmas season, make sure you drive up Sarah Street next year, because they put on a great show every year. There's also one of the judges picked an honorable mention for over in Ward 1 at 2750 Ohio Street. Anybody know where that might be? I know where Ohio Street is, but I don't know where 2750 is. So I didn't get to see that one. Okay, the Hudsons. Congratulations again. They are repeat winners. Thank you very much for your trouble. How many times have you won?
I think this is
7. We've only had the contest 5 years.
Man, I'd like to know if Doug's still doing it himself.
Oh, no, I'm retired.
I did hear that.
Our 19-year-old did it all.
Well, we thank him as well. I'm only going to read this certificate one time, and everyone will get one. Comes up here. In acknowledgement of the outstanding 2011 holiday season, display of decorations at your residence located at 1168 Sarah Street, you are hereby presented the Mayor's Award of Excellence. The recognition herein given to your home signifies that your holiday decorations were judged to be the best in Ward 1. Bethel Park appreciates your efforts to enhance our community's image at this special time of the year. And congratulations again to both of you. And your son. And who's speaking?
We've just been doing it every year, and our son has taken over, so as long as he wants to do it, I don't have to.
Thank you. There was a story when this first happened about him shooting an arrow up in the air in order to get a star way up high on something. And when I said, you shot an arrow in the air? Don't let anybody in the police department know about that. So, they won't let you talk. Well, you let the cat out of the bag. Oh, all right. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much. Ward 2 is won by Robert Schultz. Robert Schultz.
I'm his daughter.
And
I'm his daughter.
you're the daughter.
I'm Shannon, yes.
Shannon Schultz.
Yes.
All right, good. The Schultzes are at 136 Pinto Court. This is the first time you've won.
Yes, they're actually in Walt Disney World right now. So they couldn't be here, but my father, we call him Clark Griswold. Okay. So he very much likes his decorations. It's very serious and all symmetrical. So he takes a very big pride in it. So he's very happy about the award.
So you're being kind just to come up and accept it for them.
I sure am.
Oh,
yes.
wow, that's great. That's great. Well, thank you for that. There were some honorable mentions also over there in Ward 2 at 5859 Bryan Drive, 5935 Wallace Avenue, and then 2 on Saddlebrook, 5571 and 5575. So there was a lot of, apparently in the judge's opinion, a lot of runners-up, so to speak.
Very nice looking up there. It's very nice.
Oh, did you see? Yeah.
I love the area. It's very nice.
Great. Mm-hmm. Great. All right. You've been talking, but maybe you want to say something.
Oh, no. It was great. Thank you so much. I know he'll love it. He'll be very excited.
Then I'll present it to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ward 3, is everybody here from Ward 3? We had a couple wards that didn't respond, and I wasn't sure if they were going to be here or not. But anyway, the winners were Daniel and Pamela Brukwalski at 963 Willow Glen Drive. And the honorable mentions over there in Ward 3 are 3524 Ashland, 3282 Forest, and 3219 Postgate. And those were nice. I saw some of those. So we'll skip down to Ward 4. We had the same no response. So we don't know. Oh, maybe I should ask. Maybe they are here, even though we didn't hear from them. Tom and Jody Burke. They are not here. They are winners, as they live at 4960 Lindemer. And I bet you a lot of you saw that one because it's on the end just before you go, near the end before you go on to 88, on the end of Lindemer. And it always looks good there. There's a couple neighbors that I'm not too sure if they're friendly or not, but they go after the lighting for sure. Okay, did I mention them? No, I didn't mention the honorable mention. Oh, that's interesting. It was 304 Horning Road, so it's not even near there. Okay, that's good. Ward 5, the Hartungs, Joseph and Elaine. Here he is. This is another repeater. Joe got into this business here a few years ago and got very serious about it. He lives up on 1601 Lucille. And you want to see Lucille's display if you're ever running around looking for them. No honorable mentions, however. I guess the judge didn't think there was anything worth mentioning beyond that. So I can't believe it, but anyway, what we do with our judges, we let them do what their thing. We don't advertise who they are, but I'll give you a hint. We ask all the winners for this year to be judges next year. We don't get 100% response, but we get quite a few of them who agree to do that. So it's a great I won't say it's a family project. I encourage you judges, if you've got children from 6 to 12, let them judge with you. And it's a lot of fun for the family to go out and drive around their ward and argue about who's got the prettiest lights. All right, back to Joe here. Tell us about what you've been up to.
Well, last year we decided that we've been doing this this is 11 years now. Every year it grows a little bit more. Those who are into Christmas lights understand what I'm talking about.
Well, Hudson surely did.
Yes. But last year we actually, after, 9 years, I'm like, it's getting old. it's cold. We're just going to do this. We're just going to play it down this year. We actually had people knocking on our door, asking if we moved. People would come by and honk, and it wasn't a nice honk. So this year, my wife's like, "You have to do it again." So we did, and I enjoy it every year. This year was 222 strands of lights, about 42 extension cords, 220 amps of dedicated power, and most of it blinking to music. So we had a great time, and we'll be doing it again next year, and hopefully helping to make Bethel Park a little brighter.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much for that. Oh, that's Ward 3. You're 4, aren't you?
He's five.
Oh, 5. I'm sorry. 5 you are.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again. Take care. Okay, and our last person, that to my knowledge is not here, Greg and Aaron Winkler from Ward number 6. They're not here, but they are the winners, and they live at 5745 Clark Avenue. And the honorable mention on Clark, or in that ward, is also on Clark Avenue, 5737. And the Winklers are at 5745. So congratulations to them. I think they're the first-time winners also. Steve Hart. I thought that was you sitting back there, Steve. Steve and Pamela Hart live at 3232 Comanche Road. And we're glad to have you here. Glad to see you again, by the way. Tell us what you've been doing over there.
Well, my light's been going up, I guess, about as long as we've had kids. My kids are about 24 and 26 now. And so it started out pretty small, and we just thought it'd be fun, or I guess I thought it would be fun to entertain them with some lights, and it just started out with a few bushes and has turned into, I guess, 3 sides of my house anyway, and it varies, and sometimes it goes up the side of my house. Lately I've been doing it more low, and I like the looks of it now. Every year I say it's the best it's ever been, but every year I also think, maybe I don't want to do this year. It's too cold outside, that sort of thing. But then I always think, I don't know, you get to feel obligated to do it. So I keep doing it. When I'm through, I'm glad I did it. The challenge this year and in the last few years is when it's rainy in December, trying to keep all the lights lit. For some reason, I'll have sections go out, and I have to go out there in the rain and rerun my extension cords and try to get things going again, or find one broken bulb among seemingly millions. So
we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Don't let that get
Can we get a list of the addresses of the winners? Because I always like going out and driving around with my family looking at lights. So it'd be nice if we had a list of the addresses of some of these people.
Here they are.
Okay.
Pardon me? Well, okay. Put them on the website. I did mention the honorable mentions over there in your area, Steve. It's 333 Marbury Road, 406 Chestbriar, and 2990 Greenwald. It's pretty well spread out. They are honorable mentions as well. So congratulations.
Thank you, Cliff.
And my best to Pam.
Thank you.
Take care.
Cliff, Mayor, you gave him the wrong one.
I give you the wrong one?
It says 6 on it. I guess
Okay.
it's 7.
That's those ones I...
There we go.
Thank you. Thanks. I knew something was wrong there. We're now down to Ward 8. 2 to go. Gail Relicki. There's Gail. Gail, are you first-time winner?
No.
Oh,
About 3 times.
about 3 times. Tell us about it.
Well, my husband and I started this quite a few years ago, but my husband passed away, and I still want to do it.
Oh,
and I love doing it, so.
You do it in memory of him.
I do. I light up everything.
Atta girl, atta girl.
Very nice.
Well, congratulations to you. We
Well, thank
certainly
you.
do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do appreciate it. Your neighbors over there at 2672 Summit and 2815 at Bethel Church Road are your competition.
I'll have to watch that.
Yes, you'll have to watch them.
Keep my eyes open.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming in. And the last but not least, the DeLeos. I think we have a family. Here they come. This is Daniel and Judith DeLeo, D-E-L-E-O, DeLeo. They live at 195 Thunderwood Drive. And the competition over there was at 337 Fruitwood, 128 Topaz Court, and 198 Thunderwood. Okay, you going to be the spokesman? Dad is.
I just want to thank you very much for this. It came as a big surprise to us when we got the letter in the mail. And we've been decorating ever since we moved to Bethel.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years you've been decorating?
10 years, and every year I try to make it a little bit better and better.
Right.
Starting next year, I'll put him in charge of...
You found out that you can get some cheap help.
Oh, yeah. So starting next year, he's in charge of doing it each year.
Well, I expect to see you back here.
I'll try. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, folks. Congratulations to all these people, and thank you so much to all of them as well for making our town a little brighter this time of year. That's all we have tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. At this time, if we can turn to the approval of the minutes and Mr. Hannon.
I move that we approve the regular council meeting minutes of December 12th, 2011.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the regular council meeting minutes of December 12th, 2011. Any comments on this? Mr. Spagano, please call the roll.
Dixon?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pate?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
8-0.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Hannon.
I move that we approve the council reorganization meeting minutes of January 3rd, 2012.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the council reorganization meeting minutes of January 3rd, 2012. Do we have any comments on this item? Mr. Spagano, please call the roll.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pate?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes?
Dixon?
Yes.
8-0.
Motion passes 8-0. At this time, if we can turn to bills and payrolls, and Mr. Hannon.
Move that we approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality for bill list number 010912 in the amount of $610,890.89.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality per bill list number 010912 in the amount of $610,890.89. Do you have any comments on this item? Mr. Spagano, please call the roll.
Hannon?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pate?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes?
Dixon?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. At this time, we'll open up to residents' comments. This is non-agenda items only. Every person has 3 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, you'll be notified that you have 1 minute to finish up your comments.
I'm Reed McGivney, 305 Allendale Drive, Bethel Park. First, I want to say some time ago, ex-council member Bill Rule came to this microphone and stated flat out that he would not stop at the end of 3 minutes. And he went on for 7 minutes. Being an ex-councilman in Bethel Park, I kind of expect the same consideration in case I need it. I want to discuss the budget this evening. I've listened to Mr. Mari on TV give all kind of excuses and explanations for the budget. I've heard different members of council give explanations for the budget and the problems you're having. But I didn't hear anybody say, you know, I've had 16 years experience, 8 in Dormont and 8 in Bethel Park, working on budgets for communities. And I always have felt that there are certain items in every budget that I call items that are kind of stationary. That is, items that you know pretty much from year to year, within reason, what you need in the budget for that. Gentlemen, I want to say I have a list here of 5 items that are stationary items that you have put into the budget. And I'm wondering if that could be a problem cause a problem that you have today. I'll give you some figures. Millennium Park, the upkeep is $87,000 a year. The original rec center, you've added $185,000 a year. And there's still a sizable balance on the original rec building,
1 minute.
even though you went into the construction of the addition. The upkeep of the gym, $123,000 a year. The balance on the budget, balance on the construction of the new addition. And Mr. Mowry said, when you were talking about adding a new addition, he said, we have the money now, so we're going to do it. What he should have said was, we have enough money to buy about 2 doors. The balance on that new addition is $3,250,000. The payment is $152,000, $152,900 a month. Maybe that's a year. I just wonder, haven't you considered that you're the cause of this problem we're having? With adding, that's almost $1 million, I think, getting close to it, right there, on things that you have done that I felt was really unnecessary. And then, concerning the budget, there have been comments about delaying the street program or cutting the street program. Gentlemen, if you have driven the streets of Bethel Park recently, you can imagine what your streets will be like after this winter is over. If you delay or cut that budget, it's the worst mistake you'll ever make. I've seen communities do that, and the first sign of decay in a community is the streets going to pot. And I don't think you can afford to let that happen in Bethel Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGivney. Do you have any other residents who would like to come to the microphone? Just state your name and address, please.
My name is Steve Bronco, and I'm at 5962 Irishtown Road. I'm here speaking tonight on behalf of the Citizens Tax Petition Committee that was formed to give the voters of Bethel Park the opportunity to repeal the unnecessary 34.4% tax increase that Council passed in November and became effective January 1st, 2012. The Tax Petition Committee's goal is to collect a significant number of signatures to require Council to repeal this 34.4% tax increase ordinance within 30 days. If Council fails to repeal the unnecessary tax ordinance within 30 days, the issue will be placed on a 2012 election ballot as a binding referendum. This will give the voters of Bethel Park the opportunity to determine whether the tax ordinance will be repealed. I came here tonight to warn the citizens of Bethel Park that several council members are spreading false information and using scare tactics about cuts in essential services to try and kill the petition process. These council members will do or say anything to scare the public into believing that essential services will be cut by if the 34.4% tax increase is repealed. These council members are being less than honest, and they should be ashamed of themselves. Don't believe their scare tactics. These service cuts that these council members will talk about tonight are false. They're only meant to try and scare you. There are plenty of non-critical and non-essential items that can be reduced or eliminated in the budget if these same council members would spend as much time trying to reduce costs as they spend fighting for the tax increase. Ask any council member that tries to scare you with service cuts what ideas they have proposed to increase non-tax revenue or reduce non-essential expenses before they took the easy way out and voted for the unnecessary 34.4% tax increase. Everyone knows that the economy is doing poorly at this time. Many residents are either on a fixed income, unemployed, underemployed, working several jobs, not getting a raise, or being required to pay more for their health care benefits. During these bad economic times, Council is continuing to give municipal staff generous salaries, routine annual raises, salary increases, and very generous benefits. Council is approving significant capital purchases rather than long-term finance or leasing options. Citizens should think of all the non-essential expenses that can be reduced or cut, and creative ways that Council should consider to increase non-tax revenues wherever they hear Council talk about the cuts of municipal services that these shameless council members say they will be forced to do in an effort to scare you. Please call the tax petition hotline at 412-475-8065 if you would like to sign or circulate the tax petition. We will be stationed outside both entrances of the library on the following dates from 9 to 4, January 14th, January 21st, January 28th, and February 4th. Thank you.
Any other residents would like to speak? Seeing none. Before we turn to general policy and finance, I just wanted to address one article that happened to be in the, I guess, the Almanac of last week, and it was the article was titled "Bethel Tax Hike Sparks Protest," and I just wanted to clear the second paragraph up, which says that. Well, just paraphrasing, with suggestions for cost savings or cuts, such as eliminating free lunches and reducing travel and expenses for Bethel Park elected municipal officials and staff. We have no free lunches here in Bethel Park. There's a Christmas luncheon that we have for the employees every year. That money is actually taken from the vending machine that we have downstairs. What I find ironic about this whole article was the fact that I've been on council for 14 years. In 13 years out of the 14 years, Mr. Harrison has been at this luncheon. This year, he didn't show up. A couple days later, this article appears. Coincidence? I don't know. But I just wanted to let you know that as far as the elected officials attending the Christmas luncheon, that was paid for by Tim Mowry, who decided to give that as a little gift to us to show his appreciative of council to mingle with the staff for their Christmas. So I just wanted to pass that particular item on. It was it was an unjust service in the Almanac. Thank you. If this time if we can turn to general policy and finance and Mr. Hannan.
Anybody sign up to speak?
No one signed up.
Okay, we have one item tonight. It's the collective bargaining agreement for Teamsters Local 205. I move that we approve the 5-year labor agreement with Teamsters Local 205 as set forth in the municipality's final offer, as ratified by the bargaining unit, with final contract language subject to the municipal solicitor's approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 5-year labor agreement with Teamsters Local 205 as set forth by the municipality's final offer, is ratified by the bargaining unit, which with final contract language subject to the municipal solicitor's approval. Any comments on this item? Mr. Spagnol, please call the roll.
Harrison?
A reluctant yes.
McLean?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pate?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Dixon?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
8.
Motion passes 7 and 1 reluctant. Mr. Hannan.
We have no further agenda items on our general policy and finance, Mr. President.
Do we have any other items under general policy and finance?
Mr. Allen.
Mr. Harrison.
Thank you for taking the side swipe at me. Now it's my turn. My take on it is the sky is falling, the sky is falling. As Mr. Bronco said, there's all of this information about all of the services that are going to be eliminated, and I don't know who's putting that information out, but council has not, to my knowledge, had any discussion about what items are going to be talked about in the budget. Last council meeting, I made the charge that council's irresponsible. And I'm repeating that charge tonight, and I want to take time to tell you the reason I think that. I've said many times, and I'll repeat, that I think we have a very good, competent, professional staff. But you have to recognize that this staff serves at the pleasure of council. Any time 5 votes could tell them goodbye. They don't have a contract, and they know that when they take the job. I just want to mention that, to put in perspective, that I've been there, done that. I was twice in my professional career threatened with termination because I basically didn't do as I was told, and I appealed to what I considered were competent, professional upper management, explained my position, and I survived. I managed to stay the total time till I retired. The staff has a completely different situation. They work for politicians, all these folks you see up here, and I'm not for sure that these politicians operate in the same manner. In fact, I am sure they don't operate in the same manner as competent professional people in the free enterprise system. So I want to just give you a little information about the basis of my charge. Staff recommended 57.3% increase in the real estate tax. And I truly believe that they were reflecting the will of what I call the power base up here. It's an understatement to say that I was astounded to read that in the information we got. In speaking to a senior staff member, what I call eyeball to eyeball, I was told, Don, that increase is needed to maintain the present character of the community. I'd like to repeat that. That increase is needed to retain the present character of the community. I generated a letter and thanked the Almanac for publishing it, simply alerting the people to the fact that the proposal was to increase the real estate tax 57.3%. Council held the mandated public hearing, and at that time presented the budget that had the 57.3% in it. Later, 3 alternatives were presented to council of 52.8%, of 45.9%, and a 43.6%. Thinking citizens surely realize that these changes imply service cuts to the recommended 57.3%. You can't go down to 43.6 and say that you're going to keep the same level as 57.3. 10 minutes before we came to this dais, on November the 14th, Mr. Murray, President of Council, in the caucus room, announced that the increase that would be presented on the floor would be 34.4%, the infamous 34.4% that everybody's talking about now. The staff members, sitting over there, the council members were in the caucus room, and I was the only one that reacted to that announcement. I later met with 3 senior staff members and told them I was going to ask them the typical Washington question, what do you know and when did you know it? And they admitted that they knew about the 34.4% on November the 14th, late in the day, but didn't let me know. Logic indicates, I claim, that's Don Harrison logic, that the other council members knew of the proposal. they didn't react. If not, if they didn't know about it, one would expect them to question the change. No one did. If council members have decided on the 3.4%, out of my view, I allege that an illegal action may have taken place. They're not allowed to get together and decide on something like this. If everybody's not invited, you don't have to be there. The only reason I'm alleging that is it seems to me peculiar that we would sit there, have the president of council announce this, and nobody react to it. If the council members did not know about this, I allege they are irresponsible for not speaking to the issue in the caucus room. How can they sit there and have the president of council make an announcement that they're not familiar with and just be mum about it? In any case, the 34.4 increase was approved by council over my single vote of no. All the other present councilmen voted yes. If council, and I'm going to emphasize this, if council acted responsibly, one has to presume that adequate services will be provided at the 34.4 taxing level. So they approved 34.4, and if they approve that, then one has to believe that they say that that will provide adequate municipal services. The 34.4% increase is valued at $1.4 million. $1.4 million. I did that calculation myself. As stated by Councilman McLean at the December meeting, the reserve in the budget for 2012 is $1.75 million. The staff has estimated the reserve at the end of 2011 is $750,000 million. Therefore, if $750,000 million is okay in 2011, why wouldn't $750,000 million be okay in 2012? That being the case, that frees $1 million. $1 million. Therefore, the challenge of the tax ordinance then only affects $0.4 million. That is about 1% of the 30+ billion budget. Surely we can find a savings of this magnitude without draconian cuts. And while I mentioned the draconian cuts, I was told today that this information that's being sent out, and there were flyers over in the community center last week, and now people are getting information by email. I've been told that people who open that email have gotten the virus on their computer. So I just mentioned that. I would recommend if you get that, you probably should not open it. I certainly would not. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Any other comments?
Mr. Allen.
Yeah, Mr. Dixon.
I could hear the sound of remotes clicking all over Bethel Park there. I have no idea what the gentleman's point was, but I will say this. We deliberated individually and as a council for dozens and dozens of hours, collectively hundreds of hours, trying to get this budget right. And Mr. Harrison never came up with a single item to help reduce spending. I correct myself. He did come up with a $1,500 cut. $1,500, which is our contribution to the Veterans Luncheon on Memorial Day. That was the only suggestion that Mr. Harrison made to cut spending. I haven't heard from anybody else in the community on any other suggestions, and we've been imploring citizens to come forth with their guidance for us. We represent the citizens of Bethel Park, the taxpayers of Bethel Park. And when you think about it, we didn't raise your taxes. We raised ours as well. We're all residents here of Bethel Park as well. We have full-time jobs. We do this part-time. And And so we're imploring the residents to give us some guidance every year when we do the budget. Do you know how many people showed up at our budget hearing? None. 2 people, I stand corrected. No suggestions from anybody, however. So, you know, we're going to have a budget hearing on the 23rd, and it's open to public comment. And I am asking once again, please come out and give us your ideas. I will say this. If you're looking at the budget with ways to cut $1,000 here and $1,000 there, we're talking about trying to make up $1.4 million. At $1,000 an item, you would need 1,400 items to cut out of the budget. So you better be looking at things that are a little bit more significant than $1,000 here and $1,000 there. I read someone quoted in one of the newspaper articles. There are dozens and dozens of potential items. I welcome that. I hope there are. I would love nothing more. I would love nothing more than to reverse this tax increase and live happily ever after. So, again, we get a lot of political rhetoric from Mr. Harrison, but no concrete solutions to the budget issue. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Mr. Pate?
I've been on this council approximately as long as Don Harrison.
Not true.
The EMS had a road offer. He wanted to put a road in. He did the same thing. He was going to put a 700-foot road in for $5,000. I asked him, I want to know the name of that contractor, because I was getting a bid on my driveway, 28 feet, $10,000. I mean, that wasn't bad enough. Now, he talks about taxes and that. He kept on insisting we would do this. So we did. We went out on bids for this. I'm going to tell you, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if you believe some of the figures he's telling you this evening, you better think about it again. Believe me when I tell you that. I don't like to knock anybody, but I tell it the way it is.
Thank you, Mr. Pape. Any other item?
Mr. Allen?
Mr. McLean?
Yes. I've been on council now for just a little over a year and a half, and that's been enough to go through this budget process 2 times. This time around, I was able to observe the entire process from the beginning. I got appointed a year before, it's sort of in the middle of it. But I can tell folks, as somebody who hasn't been up here for 10 or 15 years, that the process starts with a preliminary budget in the summer, and we go through it, and we go through it together, we go through it individually, and we look for anything and everything that can be done within that budget to change it. And that process was followed here. And I want to just disabuse a couple things. There are no illegal meetings taking place. I haven't attended one, and I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't attend one. So the suggestion that there might have been some illegal meeting is just wrong, and it's not helpful to the process. Here's what this process is all about. We're trying to run a municipal government, which means we are trying to find a way to make sure that the police department is funded, that the roads are maintained, that the garbage is picked up, that we are providing to everyone an opportunity to be part of a community. And we're trying to do that in a way that makes sure that each of those items is paid for, but that we are not in any way engaged in anything up here as the managers of that government that is wasteful. Now, that can be an open process. And as Mr. Dixon pointed out, when we went through this through the summer and into the fall, while we were working on it, we weren't getting any comments. But that's okay. I understand that. Now, through some effort, some attention's been brought to it. It doesn't matter to me whether it's a petition or a referendum or anything else. The idea is that if we need to hear from folks their ideas, then we're going to do that. So on the 23rd, we're going to do that. We're not going to wait for some petition. We're not going to wait for some vote. We're not going to wait for some referendum. We're going to do it now. because we've been welcoming that kind of input. So that's what we're going to do. But I want to make my commitment to everybody in this community, but I want the same thing in return. And here's the commitment. There's 3 things that I think we need to do when we're approaching this. Number 1 is you have to be genuine, meaning you're here to actually work through the budget and to come up with real answers, and you don't have some other agenda that's at work. The second is that you're open-minded. And by that I mean that when you ask a question, you listen to the answer, and you listen to what people say, and you accept the answer. You don't say, that answer doesn't fit my agenda, so I'm not going to listen to it anymore. I'm going to do the same thing in return. I'm asking everyone out there to do that in return when they come before us. The third is common sense. That's the third thing we need to apply. As Mr. Dixon said, we're not going to fix things in an $18 million budget by finding $1,000 luncheons to get rid of. It just isn't going to do it. And it's of no benefit and service to the people of this community to spend a lot of time talking about $1,000 lunches. Now, the one thing about this whole process that has upset me is this idea of telling people you're facing a 34.4% increase in your taxes. Because what everyone thinks is, oh my God, my taxes last year were $3,000. I'm going to pay an extra $1,000 in taxes next year. It's wrong. It's inaccurate, and people should be told for their own benefit and to avoid themselves from their own anxiety. It's not what this is about. This was based upon a 0.75 mil increase, which means if your house is assessed at $100,000, your additional tax bill next year will be $75 more. You're not going to be paying an extra $1,000 in taxes as a result of this. So that's part of the commitment. You got to be genuine, you got to be open-minded, and you got to apply common sense. And that's why I think we're going to have this meeting on the 23rd so we can hear from people. But if people approach it in the right way, we can get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you for that revelation, Mr. McLean, about exactly what that number is. We hear 53 and 37 talk about scaring people. That's what people are scaring. It's around, what, $7 a month? That's what this was about, $7 a month. Now, I am the chairman of Public Works and Maintenance, so bear with me. I'm going to give you some numbers here, and we're going to walk through this. So you know, if you sign this petition, there's a possibility this could change. And being in the winter season, this is paramount on our minds right now about our roads. First of all, council, before the budget process, went through a major deliberation about whether or not to retain another position in Public Works. The chairman of Public Works, Mr. Segrimis, warned us if we did not fund this position, there was a possibility that he would have a difficulty maintaining the routes which we currently enjoy for our salt trucks. What happened is that we have 12 routes, and council elected, because of our budget situation, to remove that position from the budget. So, saying that, we have taken already, Mr. Segrimis has given us a mandate telling us that there's a possibility he may have difficulties filling these routes because of the loss of one man. We've accepted that and said we were going to really try. And some of the recommendations, right now it's 12 routes, some of the recommendations, because of the increase in the roads from the additional neighborhoods that have popped up over the last 10 years, that we should have 13 routes instead of 12. But council decided to stay with 12 routes. Now, what do 12 routes get us? First of all, just to let everybody know, there's 130 miles, 109 municipal, 21 state, and 6.3 is county, and that's 12 routes. That's 11 miles per route. All right, that's one truck that has to do 11 miles with 12 routes. With an inch of snow, it takes 2.5 inch or less, it takes 2 to 2.5 hours to finish one route. And that means halfway through the route, the salt truck has to come back and fill up. Our first snowfall of the year, now salt in 2008 was $43.90 a ton. It is now $55.83 a ton in 2010, or 11. 12 now. We did 4 runs. That's $44,000 in one day. 4 runs was done on our first snowfall. $44,000 in salt. We go through 9,000 tons per year. That's what we budget for. Some years we're up around 11. Some years we're not. We're maybe a little bit low. Okay, now, we have more than 2 inches of snow. We have a plow on. That number runs to 6 hours. Every route takes approximately 6 hours to go through. And let me make this perfectly clear. If you know Robert Segrimus, like many of us do, Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel as we call him, he's very meticulous in his numbers. He's very methodical in all of this. It's like running a well-oiled machine or a ship out to sea. These numbers are real. I had these discussions before the budget process, and I just had discussions with him again today. So, halfway through the run, the truck has to come back and get filled up with salt again to finish the run. Now, if we go to 11 routes, that's 1 down, and that is a serious consideration with this shortfall if this happens that we might have to make. We were looking at 11 routes before the budget process. We were talking about it. This is the tipping point. If we go to 11 routes, we are approximately going to add another hour to every route. So it'll be 3 to 3.5 hours just to take off 1 inch or less. If we go to a plow, we're looking at 8 hours to complete 1 run. That's why it's so important that we stay at 12 routes. If you have to understand when you go look at that petition to sign, and it's snowing outside, this is a possibility. This is what we're faced with. These are real numbers. And on top of that, it's a real critical municipal function to get the roads clean. On that day, you only had 2 runs instead of 4 runs. Think about that day last week. You only had 2 runs on your streets instead of 4. Think about it when your children need to go to school. If the bus is going to be able to make it with 2 instead of 4 runs. Is the ambulance going to make it? Is the police going to make it? These are all things, it's a critical municipal function to clear the roads. And these are real costs. These are real numbers. This is real time. This is as good as it gets. So we are at the tipping point going from 12 routes to 11. And it's going to significantly change the service levels of the salt trucks on the street. And that's the truth. Plus, on top of that, if we take and extend these routes now, because you have to split up the mileage from the one route to the other, that means the truck has to come back 1 more time. So that's 2 fill-ups in a route. 2 fill-ups instead of 1. So that adds more time, more fuel. Now, as for our trucks, they're between 9 and 10 years old. Mr. Segrimus, we maintain 15 trucks through 12 routes. We have 3 backups. Because believe it or not, they break down. And you have to have that spare to go out to maintain that level of service on the roads. Just to let you know, a salt truck costs $120,000. And with the increases of this year from not buying one, because of this process already, it could be 135 depending on the new regulations and the new air pollution equipment on the machine. And just to let you know, this year we have to buy a high lift to put the salt in the trucks. It's giving us a lot of trouble, costing us a lot of money. It's $119,000. We're getting a great buy on a trade-in. And it's going to cost us $64,000. It's hard to believe that these things cost this amount of money, but they do. And this is the equipment. These are the tools that these men need to do this. So think about it. These are real numbers in real time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Mr. Harrison?
In response to Mr. Dixon, I've made a suggestion many times, contrary to what he likes to tell the people, and I'm going to make it again. Each council member gets paid $250 a month for a reason that I absolutely don't know. The mayor gets $350 a month. Seems to me the time has come for us to make our contribution to help with the budget. So once again, I'm going to renew the suggestion I've made many times. In fact, I've made it in a form of motion and never gets a second, that we forego our monthly pay to aid and abet resolving the problem. And the other thing I'll just mention that none of these people seem to recognize is that they still want to talk about the 1.4 million, where I claim you only have to talk about 0.4 million because I've seen, we spent down the rainy day fund. I think we all hope the economy is going to get better, so I don't see the need to put that $1 million in the rainy day fund. And if you don't put it in the rainy day fund for 2012, then you're looking at 0.4 million that has to be found somewhere and not 1.4 million. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Mr. Hannan.
This is Don brings this up every 4 years. Council, get rid of your salaries, get rid of your whatever you spend your time on. It's a broken record. He's done it every 4 years. There's some, if Bill could bring it out of the files, there's a special meeting about 15, 20 years ago where only Mr. Pape and Mr. Harrison showed up to pass a resolution to do that. And Don well knows it's against the law to do what he suggests. We could donate it back, that's true, but it's still going to show up as payroll because it's against the law to do what he's asking us to do. It's against the Pennsylvania State Constitution to do what he's asking us to do. And Don, yourself, you've been on this council, what, 30, how many years, Don?
Starting 39 years. I plan to have at least 8 or 9 more.
Imagine that, 39 years. Let's round up to 40. So what's 40 times, let's say he takes 3,000 out of it. Don, you've taken $100,000 out of this town in your career.
That's not true.
It's pretty damn close.
When council, when council raised their pay, well,
Jim has the floor.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
He can lie all he wants to. That's all right with me.
Don, you bring it up all the time because you know fairly well it's not going to go anywhere. Makes you look good politically. You're a political master at this, but you know where it's not going anywhere, so you can always bring it up. It's like, and to quote Mr. Maury, who doesn't happen to be here, he's out of town on business. He made the offer to, he'll give up his when you give up yours. And I think the same thing here is, Don, you've had your day in the sun here on this pay issue. You've had the opportunity. You keep mentioning it, but you don't come through with it. You keep bringing it up, but you don't do anything about it. I mean, it's the rhetoric of the political maybes. And it's very sad. I mean, the community deserves better. The community deserves better than that. They deserve people looking out for their best interests. Thank you, Mr. Hannan.
Thank you, Mr. Hannan. Mr. Pape.
Yes, I just listened to this. It's amazing. Let me tell you what I want to tell you. The average home in Bethel Park is assessed at $116,000, which that means it isn't $100, $400 like I'm hearing people calling me at home. My taxes are going up $100,000. It isn't. I don't know what they're telling them. I'm going to tell you this. If we just for the garbage, okay, it's $180 a year, and we pay that. If you get to $7.25, that comes out to about $84 a year. What I'm driving at is somebody being penny wise and pound foolish. Now, there's a lot of talk going on that this council, and I'm one of them, Peters Township don't have any street lights. We can turn the street lights off too and save a lot of money. We can cut the police department 3 or 4 policemen. We can cut public works 3 or 4 policemen. It's very simple to do that, but you don't have the services. I mean, for $7.25 a month, you want us to do this? I mean, think about it. There's a lot of stories going out there that are not the truth. And believe me when I tell you, I'm retired and I get the phone calls, and I just had an operation where I wasn't at a couple of meetings. But I'm telling you, it's sickening, some of the things. I know some of you people are wrong, but I'm going to tell you something. I have people who are trying to sign them up, says your taxes are going to be $1,200 more a year. There's no truth to that. At least, for God's sakes, at least tell the truth. Now, you take, like our Mark said about snow removal. Does anybody recall just what happened in Hazelwood when they had heavy snow that they couldn't get to the gentleman and he died? Now, do we want that in Bothell Park? I don't think so. Stop and think about what we're doing here. I'm hoping and praying, just like Mr. Dixon said, we're having a meeting on the 23rd, and I would really like to have your input because we got to pay them taxes too. I got children living here this time. I got a lot of friends that live in this time. We didn't come on this council to raise taxes or see what we could do. Don't forget, we have to pay it too. I just hope people realize what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pape. Any other comments? Mr. McLean.
Sorry, just one. Mr. Harrison has mentioned a couple times about the reserve, and I was just recalling, I think last month or the month before, Mr. Harrison was chastising us because he said that he had the charts and it was showing the projections of the reserves into the future, and he was saying we actually should be increasing taxes even more because if we didn't do that, then the reserve was actually going to decline. My point on this is that the way in which the reserve works in the budget is not just some rainy day fund where there's some money sitting off in the account. And so my suggestion is so that we can have a good discussion about this is that maybe on the 23rd we prepared to have someone from staff just go over what the reserve is, how it functions within the budget, and then we can have a sensible discussion about what it should be in a given budget and how it should work. What it really, in large part, does is it's there because you cannot predict heading into a year exactly how much something's going to cost. I'll give you a perfect example, which is snow removal costs. You budget $400,000 or $500,000, but then it snows a lot and you have to use a lot more salt, as Mr. O'Brien was going over. So you need a reserve within the budget so that you know you have that money accounted for, but then you carry it over. We have been driving down that reserve lower and lower and lower, and I think what you're going to hear on the 23rd is that it is already below what is the recommended levels of that reserve. So I'm open to, as I said, to any and all discussions about anything anyone has, but I want to keep it on a basis upon which things that can actually be done and that keep us on a fiscally sound basis. So my suggestion is that on the 23rd we talk about what the function of the reserve is, and then we can figure out what makes sense.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Ms. Gibbons.
I just wanted to remind people, if they are going to attend the meeting on the 23rd, there is a copy of the budget available in the library. So that way, if you have any questions now, go ahead and look at that budget before you come to the meeting. That way you will know what you're asking questions about. If you have questions before that, please feel free to contact any of us. We can help you answer any questions. We just want you to be informed. Know what you're asking questions about. I don't have any problem with any question someone asks me when they have looked at the budget and say, I don't understand this and I don't understand that. Believe me, it's not easy just to look at it and understand what it's all about. So please look at that budget and be informed when you come to the 23rd.
Thank you. That budget, by the way, is also online. So if you want, bethelpark.net. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Brien.
I'd just like to compliment our staff. I've had the opportunity to work with many of these people for the past 20 years. They don't always agree with me, and I don't always agree with them. But they are hardworking, dedicated people, honest, part of this community, who take their job very seriously, and actually deep in their heart, I believe most of them really care deeply about this community. And to certainly try to cast a shadow on our staff here, it brings a very, I don't know, it brings a bad taste to what I think should not be. And I just want to compliment them on their hard work and their dedication on this budget, and some of them for many, many years of service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Any other comments?
Mr. Allen, one more.
Mr. Dixon, who's running out of ink.
I just wanted to correct something I said earlier. I'm pretty sure I referred to the meeting on the 23rd as a hearing. It is not a hearing. That implies a legal proceeding. It's our committee meetings on the 23rd. We're going to have that out here so that the public can attend. So it's not a legal proceeding. It's just our budget meeting. And I wanted to follow up on something Mrs. Gibbons said as well. It was what I was trying to get at. I think she said it much more eloquently than I. But when I suggested that we're looking for input from the residents of Bethel Park, please research the budget, bring your ideas and your suggestions with you, because that's what the whole idea is. That's the whole reason that we're going to have the meeting for the public. If there's any way we can reduce this, then we're all game for that. I guarantee it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Any other comments? Hearing none, if we could turn to planning and zoning, and Mr. Dixon, and no people. No, we had the residents' comment section. Now we're just taking the agendas one at a time. If it's a comment about the budget, it's the 23rd, and we invite people to come for that.
You can always stop up after the meeting and ask questions if you have anything.
Mr. Dixon.
I have no items under planning and zoning tonight, Mr. Allen.
Okay, hearing none. Any other comments under planning and zoning? If we can turn to health, safety, and welfare, and Mr. McLean.
Mr. Chairman, there are no items under health, safety, and welfare this evening.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Any other comments, health, safety, and welfare? Hearing none, if we can turn to public works and maintenance, and Mr. O'Brien.
Mr. Chairman, there are no items under public works and maintenance. I have some announcements. First of all, I'd like to make an announcement and wish my good buddy John Pate back. Nice to have you back, John. It's good to see you down there. Also, the Connie's announces its 4th annual Christmas tree recycling program. You can take your Christmas trees, along as the lights and all the tinsel is off of it, to the Wave Pool parking lot between January 3rd and January 22nd. Also, too, I'd like to just make a note. We had our first annual blood drive during the holiday season. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend because of an illness. However, the staff and Chuck Stover absolutely did a fabulous job with the blood drive. I think we were shooting for, on the first time, around 40 people. It turned out to be 70. So well done, people of Bethel Park. This is a very critical time when blood is needed during the holidays and donations are down. So let's look forward to next year. Maybe we'll break 100. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Before we adjourn, Mr. Hanna?
This is something that sometimes when you do things and you get things from, I got a pamphlet from my church right before Christmas, and this is from St. Louis, and I'm reading through it, and I see this a short history of St. Louis de Marillac Parish by Jim McLean. And I know a Jim McLean. I wonder if it's the same Jim McLean I'm on council with. My goodness, it is. So Jim is being a lifelong member of one of the founding families of St. Louis. He has written a short history of it, and I wish him congratulations.
Thank
and,
you.
Job well done, and
Thank you.
I'm sure his wife goaded him into it, as they all do.
Yes. She volunteered me at a meeting that I was not in attendance at.
That'll teach you. That'll teach you. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Hannan. We have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
You've probably seen this before. Hide and seek? Well, sort of. Kids will often withdraw when their needs aren't being met. I know. It would be easier if they just walked up and said, "Hey, I'm feeling like I need a little one-on-one time." But kids have their own language, and it's up to us parents to learn it. Once you figure out how to speak your kid's language, well, you don't really have to say much at all. A thought from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Since our establishment in 1927, the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company has been providing emergency response and fire protection to the residents of Bethel Park. As Bethel Park grew, so has our fire company. Now, our highly trained volunteer firefighters are prepared to respond to emergencies ranging from smoke and carbon monoxide alarms to the largest of structure fires. The Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company has been able to accomplish this despite the fact that we receive no tax dollars. We depend on the support of residents and local businesses like you. We deeply appreciate your donations and look forward to your continued support. For further information, please visit us on our website at www.bethelparkvfc.com.
Tri-Community South EMS needs your help. Renew your Tri-Community South resident or business subscription today. Your subscription provides the funds necessary for us to operate Tri-Community South. Your subscriptions cover emergencies 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Although owned and operated by the municipality of Bethel Park and townships of South Park and Upper St. Clair, Tri-Community South EMS receives no monies from the EMS tax, which is an emergency medical service tax. Tri-Community South, the leading community training center for the American Heart Association in the North Atlantic region, provides training in CPR, AEDs, canine CPR, ACLS, and PALS. You can subscribe or pay your account online by going to www.tcsems.org, or you can still renew your subscription by mail. Tri-Community South EMS is Allegheny County's only CAS-accredited EMS. Residents and business subscribers to Tri-Community South EMS are who make this internationally recognized service possible. Without your subscription, we would be unable to provide top quality emergency medical care or provide the service.